Yo! Welcome to Simply Bitcoin Live. We're your number one source for the peaceful Bitcoin revolution, crypto breaking news, culture, matic warfare. We will be your guide through the separation of money and state. Holy cow, I cannot believe we are here. Larry Fink, the CEO of the largest asset manager in the world. They have trillions of dollars under management, trillions with a T, not with a B. Said that basically Bitcoin is going to become the next global reserve currency. He will play you the video and we'll kind of completely break it down and analyze exactly what he said. But I cannot believe this is happening. And to give us credit a little bit, we were saying earlier on the week, actually, that that things were going to happen a lot quicker than we anticipated. And the reason for that is because of the amount of institutional interest in Bitcoin. BlackRock, Fidelity, Morgan Stanley, Bank of America, Deutsche Bank, Banco Santander from Spain, a major bank in France. Like it's just the floodgates, you know, that meme with the little town underneath and there's the dam and there's this giant, like, you know, reservoir behind it and you have all the BlackRock memes and then the town is all the Bitcoin. That is literally what's happening right now. Institutional money is about to flood in, the likes of which you've never seen before. And my advice to you as a fellow Bitcoiner is if you're selling your Bitcoin right now, you're most likely selling it to Larry Fink. Don't be that guy. Don't be that person that has to explain it to their grandparents. I was able to accumulate 1 Bitcoin, but then I sold it to BlackRock. Like, that's going to be a very difficult conversation. You don't want to put yourself in that position. So stay humble, stack sats, stay solvent, download an ethical Bitcoin wallet, Electrum, Sparrow, Spectre. There's so many of them. Blue Wallet. Buy yourself a good hardware wallet. Obviously, our fan favorite, our favorite is our sponsor, Jade. You can get yourself a cold card as well. Bitbox, Trezor, Ledger, if you so dare. So this is crazy. This is very, very crazy stuff. Very exciting. But the dark forces are here. The dark forces couldn't help themselves but to bend the knee to the incentives of Bitcoin. The incentives of Bitcoin stay winning, Opti. They stay winning, and that's why we're going to win this thing.
Well, it's almost like we've been saying this for a long time, and we knew that Bitcoin was inevitable and that, you know, the incentive structures of Bitcoin are pure. And it doesn't matter what the Larry Finks of the world want to do with Bitcoin. They want your Bitcoin. And it is Friday, so we're going to get stupidly bullish. I'm excited to hear some Nico Jones takes, but I had a brief conversation with our guest today, and this guy was requested by you guys out there, and you guys want to get stupidly bullish. So we brought in Luke. Luke, I'm not even going to try to say your last name because I can't speak any words at all, but we're going to get bullish on the culture today. We already kind of got in a little conversation before, and I already know that this episode is going to be litty for you guys. So Luke, how you doing this morning? Good to have you, bro.
I'm heavily caffeinated and I'm absolutely pumped to be on the show.
Me too.
Thanks for having me, guys.
You have an unfair advantage with that accent, bro. Okay? Where are you from?
Australia, but I was born in the ghetto in Australia, so that's where the really dirty accent comes from.
Okay. All right. So, dirty Australian accent, Mexican American
dirty
accent,
Mexican accents,
and some Miami accent. This is going to be an interesting show. Anyways, guys, no more delay. Let's jump straight into the show. We got a tremendous amount of stuff to talk about. Let's check it out, everybody.
The Bitcoin numbers.
Brought to you by Nostr. At this point, you should be running your own Bitcoin node. If you don't use your own Bitcoin node, you're trusting someone else's. Run your own version of Bitcoin Core, the Lightning Network, Whirlpool, and Dojo, all from the comfort of your own home. And if you're a digital nomad, you have absolutely no excuse because now you can run a Nostr through a virtual private server. Visit nostr.eu today. All right, everybody. I want to tell you about the largest Bitcoin conference on the face of the earth, Bitcoin 2024. It's not going to be in Miami this year. It's actually going to be in the great state of Tennessee, in Nashville specifically, July 25th through the 27th, 2024. And I got good news for you guys. You could take advantage of the early bird ticket specials for $2.99 for a GA, $7.49 for an industry pass, and for a whale pass, $4,499. By the way, these ticket prices are going to go away very, very soon. So take advantage of the early bird ticket special now. Do not wait. And you could take advantage of the promo code Simply to get yourself an even bigger discount. At the time of recording, the Bitcoin price is 31,270 sats per dollar, 3,198. Block height, 798,677. Blocks to halving, 41,323. Halving estimate April 20th, 2024. Total Lightning Network capacity, 4,862. Capacity value, $152 million. Realized monetary inflation, 1.76%. Continuing to take fiat currencies to absolute school and embarrass them. That's what Bitcoin does. Market capitalization, $607 billion with a B. Bitcoin versus gold market cap. I just added this, and this one's my second favorite stat after realized monetary inflation. It's currently sitting at 4.66%.
So
anyways,
early. So early.
So early. It's going up forever, Laura. Speaking of the guy who said it's going up forever, Laura, the Chad Saylor. He's been pretty vocal about Wall Street coming to Bitcoin, but Larry Fink has been going on CNBC a lot as of late, and boy oh boy has he been talking about Bitcoin quite a lot. And so let's hear what he has to say. It's a lot to unpack. It's a 2-minute clip, but there's a bit of misrepresentation, there's a bit of bargaining, but there's also a bit of saying the quiet part out loud. Also, he's going to refer to Bitcoin as cryptocurrencies. Even though we know that BlackRock is only filing a Bitcoin ETF, not a cryptocurrency ETF, but he explains the reason as to why that is in the very beginning. Anyways, I'm going to shut up now. Let's play the clip, and then we'll talk about it.
Can you talk about where crypto fits? Well, I can't talk about Bitcoin because we have a filing with the SEC, so I'm prohibited. I can talk about crypto in general, and I can talk about what we have done. We believe we have a responsibility to democratize investing, and we've done a great job. And the role of ETFs in the world is transforming investing, and I think we're only at the beginning of that. I mean, we believe the fixed income market is going to become multiple $1 trillion in ETFs. Equities will continue. More and more of the market will be delivered through an ETF platform. If you think about what was done 20 years ago now with the advent of a gold ETF, that really democratized gold investing. It brought down the cost of transaction for gold. I mean, the cost of transacting physical gold is absurd. And now with crypto, the idea of democratizing that role, the cost right now to transact is quite expensive. We're talking points, not decimal points. And so that's a big point. Two, over the last 5 years, more and more global investors are asking us about the role of crypto. And as I said, I do believe a lot of crypto is going to be, it's an international asset. It has a differentiating value versus other asset classes, but more importantly, because it's so international, it's going to transcend any one currency and currency valuation. If you just look at the value of our dollar, how it depreciated the last two months, and how much it appreciated over the last 5 years, I mean, an international crypto product can really transcend that. And that's why we believe there's great opportunities, and that's why we're seeing more and more interest. And that interest is broad-based worldwide.
All right. Okay. You just had the largest asset manager in the world just say that. And remember what the journalist asked him in the very beginning. He said, what do you think about cryptocurrencies? The journalist didn't ask him about Bitcoin. He said, what do you think about cryptocurrencies? And he said, well, I can't talk about Bitcoin. It's a little Freudian slip because we have an SEC filing, but I can talk about crypto. BlackRock's only involved in Bitcoin, right? At the very end, he said, because of Bitcoin's properties, and he talked about the fact that fiat currencies were devaluing, and because of Bitcoin's properties, it's going to transcend fiat currencies and it's going to be adopted on a global scale. This isn't just a crazy Bitcoiner on the internet telling you this. This is the CEO of the largest asset manager in the world. Last time I checked, they have I think it's like $8 to $10 trillion assets under management. That is a very, very big fucking deal. Now, put the bullish stuff aside. Now let's pull it back a little bit. He was talking about the democratization, right? And you could say that an ETF was necessary for the democratization of gold. Gold's physical properties limit it limits its ability to be transported efficiently and effectively, also cheaply. Bitcoin doesn't need an ETF for it to be democratized. It is very easy to take self-custody of Bitcoin. It is much easier than sending a wire. And that misrepresentation maybe was a spin. And of course, I don't blame him. He's incentivized, obviously, for people to buy his ETF. Basically saying that it's expensive to transact. No, it's not. Right? You could send billions of dollars for pennies or $1, right? But of course, he can't tell you that because he's trying to sell you his ETF. But regardless, you have to understand, guys, and I've been telling you about the party of green and the party of orange. Larry Fink was on the party of green not too long ago. And it sure looks like, I don't know what color you get when you mix green and orange. I think it's brown. He's currently in the brown phase, transitioning into the orange phase. He's going down the rabbit hole. You see it in real time. And mind you, this is coming from someone who back in 2018 literally said that Bitcoin is only good for money laundering, right? And this is a testament to show that Bitcoin's incentives are so irresistible and so powerful that's even for someone like Larry Fink and his position, basically owns a large percentage of, or his company owns a large percentage of every Fortune 500 company in the world. It has no other alternative but to bend the knee to Bitcoin and Bitcoin's incentives. And that's why we're going to win, right? So, he could spin it and he could say, look, we're going to need an ETF. And honestly, that's our job, guys, to really educate the masses and to say, hey, look, you shouldn't be buying Bitcoin through a Bitcoin ETF, even though I know it's very easy. You could pull up your Robinhood app and you'd be like, oh, I got my Bitcoin ETF. It's our job to be like, hey, that's not real Bitcoin, bro. You're buying some fake Bitcoin, some Larry Bink Bitcoin. You don't want that. Anyways, we found out yesterday also in the Pacific Bitcoin live stream that it was put in the chat that Opti has also dated Augustus Carstens. Is that true? Because that is 3 central bankers. We had Yellen first. Christine Lagarde was the last. Was Augustin came before that? And dude, like, you really, really tried to get plugged into the money spigot, dude.
Dude, whatever I got to do for the almighty dollar. But no.
You are fake news.
Before I go
only Christy. Hey,
Christy.
Christy.
And Janet Yellen, I don't swing both ways. Only the female central bankers out there. But look, before I go on, I'd actually like to hear Luke's takes first. So let's get Luke in here.
Let's get the bullish takes going first, because
yeah, exactly.
I thought it was poetic that you shared the video that Michael Saylor posted about Larry Fink, because I believe Michael Saylor has started the billionaire FOMO into Bitcoin. Michael Saylor's sitting on 150,000 Bitcoins in his personal treasury. His company's treasury for MicroStrategy. And now that Larry Fink is talking, he's the world's largest asset manager. And there's 3,000 to 4,000 billionaires around the world. What percentage of the world's billionaires are listening to Uncle Larry Fink? I reckon at least 60, 70, 80% of them at least take Larry seriously. So that means they need to start accumulating Bitcoin. And I think it's really interesting that as the price of Bitcoin rises in the coming years, all of a sudden, Michael Saylor, with his 150,000 Bitcoin stack, he will slowly start to rise up that leaderboard of the world's richest men. And all of a sudden, the 3 to 4 to 5,000 billionaires around the world have one choice. If they want to stay richer than Michael Saylor, they need to accumulate more Bitcoin than Michael Saylor. And if you have a look at the trend that's been going on over the past 3 years, coins have been leaving exchanges for the first time in Bitcoin's life. So coins peaked out on exchanges at like 3.1 million in March of 2020 when the money printers got turned on, interestingly. And since then, we've seen 1 million coins evaporate off the exchanges. So we don't know where those coins are going. Obviously, I think some nation states and some large billionaires have been accumulating that Bitcoin. But all of a sudden, if those billionaires want to stay richer than Michael Saylor, they need to accumulate more than 150,000 coins. And there's only enough Bitcoin on exchanges for 12 billionaires to accumulate more Bitcoin than Michael Saylor. So I'm bullish. I think it's impossible to not be bullish. A lot of people say, okay, the price is going to rise. Hodlers are going to take profit and they're going to sell some Bitcoin to Uncle Larry Fink and Christine Lagarde and all of the other bureaucrats who want to actually accumulate Bitcoin and stay richer than Michael Saylor. I don't know. I'm not so sure. I think there's a large majority of plebs who are not going to sell their coins irrespective of the price. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the billionaire FOMO race that I believe has been kicked off and kicked into the next gear by Larry Fink's recent Bitcoin ETF filing.
Bars. Holy cow. Wow. You're good, man. You're good. I like that. I like that.
Let's go.
We don't get that very often. He's a trained host, baby. I love that. No, amazing take. And your great observation about the Bitcoin leaving off exchanges. And that's something that hasn't been happening in Bitcoin's history before, right? It is going down, right? It's in a downward trajectory, which tells us it's like there's only so much Bitcoin to go around. Right. I think the last time I saw the statistic, right, there's between 50 to 60 million millionaires all around the world. There's only 21 million Bitcoin. Right. So even if every single millionaire just wanted just one Bitcoin, they physically could not get it. Right. And that's where we are. And that tells us, as Bitcoiners, as plebs, like, dude, stay humble, stack sats. Don't sell your Bitcoin to these billionaires and Larry Fink because they're sure gonna want it. And I suspect they're gonna play some games to try to scare you out of your stack. Anyways, Opti, what's your take on all this, brother?
Well, yeah, on that last point, shouts out to American HODL because he was the first one to say it to me in one of our spaces, the idea of the HODL buyout zone. And I think that's where we're heading right now as the average Bitcoiner out there that's been stacking for years now is the institutional FOMO or the billionaire FOMO that Luke is talking about. It's going to literally test you throughout this next bull run and moving forward. Like right now, and it's something I've been saying in spaces for a minute as well, is like, ask yourself why you're here. Like we all come for the money, but do you stay for the revolution or are you just here for the Lambos? Because as the price goes up, you're going to be tested in your HODL. And as American HODL was calling it, the HODL buyout zone. Do we know where this ends? No, but we're pretty sure it's going to start moving into the millions per coin. And of course, we're getting stupidly bullish today on purpose. So without people throwing us tomatoes and trying to hate on us because we're getting stupidly bullish today is a bullish episode. And as Luke so eloquently laid out, the SAT race is on. And we've been saying this for a while, that the SAT race is on. There's only so much Bitcoin out there going around. Of course, we have the 21 million hard cap number, but I don't know if you guys saw Samson Mao's tweet the other day, or I think it was yesterday, and he just did like infinity divided by 16 million few. And it's the idea that there's less Bitcoin out there than even the 21 million hard cap. And few people are really pricing in what digital scarcity means. And I was actually telling Luke earlier, it's like, you guys aren't bullish enough out there, and it's showing, because I can't believe you guys are getting bearish. But before I go on and continue to talk about the Larry Fink video, shouts out to Opti Fink in the chat because he tagged me on Twitter and he pointed out, does Larry Fink have a lisp? Like, I can't unhear it now. It was absolutely horrendous. But back to Larry Fink. it's very hilarious that Larry and the corporate press has changed their tune so quickly in the last week or two. And it only took one person to endorse Bitcoin for the whole, corporate machine to flip on its head and go 180 degrees against what their narrative has been for years. And, he's saying all the things we've been saying. Bitcoin is an international asset. Self-custody is lower cost than gold. Final settlement in 10 minutes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it is kind of funny, and it's not lost on me, the irony of Larry going full Bitcoin after so many years of fighting Bitcoin. And I say it all the time, guys. It's the classic playbook, the classic FUD playbook where you talk smack on Bitcoin for years, you pack your bag, and then you endorse Bitcoin as you have your bags packed. And it's playing out again, guys. So you're right, and
it's going up forever.
So let's go. We're winning out here, and of course, guys, now is the time to secure your bags. Make sure your Bitcoin is in self custody. Make sure you stay solvent, stay humble, because I think we really are heading into a different cycle this next bull run. And I know we all have PTSD about calling numbers and price predictions, but I really think it's going to go a lot higher than we ever thought it would. But we'll get into that in the culture, because Luke and I talked about it a little bit before, and we're going to save the bullishness for the culture. So
there's more bullishness.
There's more bullishness.
Woo! All right, guys.
Started.
You guys are listening to Simply Bitcoin Live. Smash that like button. Help us push the orange signal. YouTube pushes the orange signal harder if you smash the like button. We've broken over 100 likes on each live stream for the last 5 days. Help us continue our what is it? What's the word, Opti? Our trend, our pattern, our consistency.
Resistance.
Our streak.
Resistance.
Help us continue our streak and smash the like button so we could break over 100 likes during the live stream. Anyways, everybody, let's get to the news. We got a lot to talk about today. Let's check it out.
The Daily News.
The Daily News is brought to you by Blockstream Jade, built by Bitcoiners for Bitcoiners. It's an open source hardware wallet for the cold storage of Bitcoin. Check out the brand new limited edition color, the transparent green Jade. Blockstream Jade houses a full color camera, allowing for fully air-gapped Bitcoin transactions, scan and display QR codes directly on the device, assign transactions, and verify addresses with ease. Use your Blockstream Jade with your favorite wallet software, such as Blockstream Green, Blue Wallet, Electrum, Sparrow. Get yourself a Blockstream Jade today and take self-custody of your Bitcoin.
All right, everybody. I also want to tell you about the Orange Pill app. They are building the social layer for Bitcoin, as crazy as this sounds. Without the people, Bitcoin is just ones and zeros. Bitcoin is the people. Bitcoin is you. It's me. It's Opti. It's Satoshi. It's Luke. Download the Orange Pill app for iOS or Android and connect with other Bitcoiners in real life today. Find other Bitcoiners that live near you, or you can even go into the app totally anon and search for other Bitcoiners by common interest. Orange Pill app is also the world's biggest repository for Bitcoin-only events. If you want to meet other Bitcoiners in real life, this is the app for you. Sign up through the App Store, and you can even pay in sats. Download the Orange Pill app today, ladies and gentlemen, and Opti and I really appreciate all the messages and all the love that we're getting. So thank you all for doing that. Anyways, in other news, less bullish news, we'll get back to the bullish during the culture. Ex-Celsius CEO Alex Mashinsky charged with crypto fraud. And the reason I want to talk about this during a Bitcoin show is because he came out with videos. When this was all happening, and he was saying specifically he was attacking Bitcoin maxis for pushing people to take self-custody of their Bitcoin. And he was saying that would hurt people. At the same time, he was doing some very sketchy things behind the hood. Today is one of those days where justice was served. This is a guy who, and again, I'm a Bitcoiner. I'm not a big fan of government, right? But this is a guy who literally destroyed the lives of thousands of people. A lot of people put their life savings in Celsius to get that yield and whatnot. And a lot of people got hurt. And, this is where we are. So, Here's a Bloomberg article. It says 3 regulatory agencies also sued Mashinsky in New York, and Mashinsky pleads not guilty to all charges at hearing. And that's crazy because usually for anyone who doesn't know, right, when you get charged by the state or by the federal government, they have a very high prosecution rate. And the reason for that is they don't like to charge people with a crime unless they feel they have a rock solid case. And based on all the documents that have been coming out in the last couple of weeks, this guy clearly broke the law. Anyways, goes on to say former Celsius Network chief executive officer Alex Mashinsky was accused by U.S. prosecutors of pumping up the price of his firm's cryptocurrency to entice customers to the platform. All so he could line his pockets to the tune of $42 million. Mashinsky, who was arrested and charged with wire fraud and other crimes, waged a years-long scheme to mislead customers before Celsius collapsed last year with more than $1 billion in debt, according to prosecutors. He pleaded not guilty at a hearing Thursday in New York. Celsius was one of several high-profile crypto firms that imploded last year. The company gained popularity paying high interest rates on digital asset deposits, but following the collapse of the Terra USD stablecoin and the downturn in the digital assets market in the company was the digital asset markets, the company was unable to meet an influx of customer withdrawals. Quote, over the course of the past year, we have worked quickly to get to the bottom of what led to Celsius' collapse. Damian Williams, the U.S. Attorney of the Southern District of New York, said at a press conference, to understand how a platform that advertised itself as the safest place for your crypto could have left investors holding billions of dollars in losses. Today, we have the answer. Well, Bitcoiners would have told you. The fact that the slogan was a centralized exchange is the safest place for your crypto, quote unquote, no, the safest place for your Bitcoin is in self-custody, period, right? So it makes sense why he was attacking Maxis. Anyways, it goes on to say in a 46-page unsealed indictment, prosecutors alleged Celsius staff were forced to charge rosy public comments Mashinsky made about the platform's financial health during his weekly question and answer sessions, quote, ask Mashinsky anything because the statements were false and misleading. It goes on to say, quote, he looks forward to vigorously defending himself in court against these baseless charges, he said in a statement. Mashinsky will be released on bail after agreeing to a $40 million personal recognizing. I need help from our Australian friend. What does that word say?
I'm not even.
Spawn?
There you go.
That's a weird word. Anyways, recognizance bond, co-signed by his wife, another person. He handed in his 2 passports to authorities, and his travel is restricted to New York. Anyway, so this guy looks like he's fucked. I also want to give a shout out to Corey. Corey was really doing Satoshi's work, and he got a tremendous amount of flack for it. Because he was actively warning people about the scam that was Celsius. So I would say this is vindication for Corey. He got a lot of flack for it. And also shout out to Corey. He saved a lot of people. If you take a look at the comments of this post specifically, you'll look at it and you'll see how many people were literally thanking Corey for his efforts to kind of expose the bullshit that was going on. So it goes on to say, today's arrest of Celsius founder Alex Mashinsky, or Corey goes on to say, better said, was long overdue. Based on the charges and the proven facts, I expect Mashinsky to be imprisoned for several decades, and that sentence will be well-deserved. I was perhaps the most ferocious critic of Celsius and Mashinsky in spring of 2022, and was singled out by Mashinsky and his collaborators as a primary enemy of their scheme. As usual, my attention was drawn to a crypto scammer because of their lies about Bitcoin and Bitcoiners. In the case of Mashinsky, he began making impassioned pleas for people to deposit their Bitcoin with Celsius, claiming that Bitcoiners were responsible for people losing their coins through the promotion of self-custody. Because of our public spats in the media and on Twitter, over the ensuing weeks, thousands of Celsius users made their life-altering decision to withdraw their assets from Celsius. Many hundreds got in touch with me directly, sending detailed messages thanking me for my efforts to shine a light on the scam. Though the wheels of justice turn perhaps too slowly, in the end, the result will be correct. Alex Mashinsky will rot in prison. Very, very strong statement at the end. But I mean, dude, like, I remember reading some of those comments, bro. And there was one that like never like slipped my mind, and it was about basically this single mother who put her life savings into Celsius, and she wasn't one of the lucky ones. She was not able to pull out her funds. So and again, like, this is the side of crypto and BS that you don't really see. Right, because you always talk, you know, whether it's I don't like to talk crap about other content creators, but let's say the alternative currency content creators and people that are not Bitcoin only, there's real damage that they cause when they promote pump and dump schemes. There's real hurt there, and you have to understand, like, most Bitcoiners that I've met, they go through a shitcoining phase. And when they go through that shitcoining phase, they kind of burn their finger on the stove, so to speak, a little bit, and they realize, okay, it's truly Bitcoin, and then they kind of make it outside and they become Bitcoin only. And most Bitcoiners, like from the most predominant ones, 99% of them have gone through that phase. And I will tell you that most of them would have more Bitcoin today if they didn't go through that phase, right? So yeah, man, this is, I guess justice is served. And, I think that this is someone that definitely deserves it. And normally we wouldn't talk about a shitcoiner on the show. We don't usually, we like to be a little bit more optimistic and focus on the peaceful revolution and really what I truly believe are the actual enemies, which are central bank digital currencies. And, I don't like to talk about shitcoins on Simply Bitcoin, but I think this man in particular, for attacking Bitcoiners, I think it was worthwhile to highlight, what happened yesterday in New York City. Anyways, Luke, what are your thoughts? And then we'll pass it on to Opti.
Justice is being served. It really is as simple as that. Crypto scammers going to jail, getting arrested. That's exactly what you want to see. The faster people learn how to take self-custody of their Bitcoin, the better.
Yeah, 100%. I 100% agree with that. And that was a good take, quick take.
Short and sweet, love it.
Short and sweet, love it. Opti.
Well, I just want to acknowledge that it got somber real quick, but
no, we're gonna turn it up a notch, bro.
I know we will. It's a roller coaster.
It's like the roller coaster, bro.
It's a roller coaster of emotions.
Start strong, and then
but
end with laughs.
End with laughs. Yes. This just makes me feel like there is some righteous justice in the world, and as much as I don't like to stomp on people's graves or misfortune, like, fuck Mashinsky. These are the type of scammers that keep us toxic. I remember being green and falling for the shitcoin scammery when I first joined Bitcoin, or the Bitcoin ecosystem, or whatever you want to call it, and falling for these type of narratives. And this is why I am so adamant about talking about Bitcoin only and doing my best to help people, because Nico said it best. If I had only been Bitcoin only from the beginning, I'd probably have more I am guaranteed I'd have more Bitcoin today, but I had to pay my cost of tuition. I had to go through the shitcoin scams to get to this point. And these are the type of people that really get us pissed off out there, because they're literally stealing people's life savings, and they're cloaking it in this feel-good narrative. And this is the shit that really pisses me off. Like, shitcoiners are bad for all of us. They make us all look bad because they are using the free market, the libertarian aspect, to try to scam freely. And that's just fucked up. Like, excuse my French, guys. I try not to cuss here as much as possible, but like, don't fall for the scams. This is why we are Bitcoin only. This is why we are Simply Bitcoin. Just stay humble, stack sats, stay solvent. provide value for your fellow man, and save in Bitcoin. Like, it's really simple. And shitcoiners really do make us all look bad. And they make it seem like all we're doing here is trying to scam and defraud people of their life savings. And like, I remember Mashinsky going out there on Twitter calling all of us Bitcoin maxis. Like, I forget what he was saying, but he was lying through his teeth. And look, again, I don't like to, jump on people's misfortune, but like, he deserves this shit. Like, fuck him. I hate to cuss so much here today, but like, forgive me, chat, and forgive me, viewers. Like, fuck Mashinsky. Like, he deserves this shit, and he's a scumbag, like, first and foremost. And all these other shitcoin scammers out there that are using the Bitcoin narrative of libertarian live and let live so that they can try to scam freely. It's like, it's disgusting. Shitcoiners are bigger Bitcoin maxis than probably a lot of Bitcoiners because they understand how valuable your Bitcoin is and they want your Bitcoin. So don't fall for that stuff. And shouts out to the chat for pointing out how the courts are going to let Mashinsky make bond with his ill-gotten gains, like with theft. Like, maybe it's not perfect justice, but this is just going to show that you can't scam in the Bitcoin space freely anymore. Like, there is repercussions, and it's not the Wild West anymore. So, make your bet, choose wisely, go Bitcoin only, and avoid all the shitcoin scams, because everyone is trying to rug pull you, and you just got to try to make it to the other side, guys. There's so many landmines to fall into as a Bitcoiner. And these are the type of guys that you want to avoid. So, like, you can't shitcoin freely, you can't scam freely anymore, and there will be repercussions to your actions. But back to being a little more positive about all this. Sorry, Nico. Take your Bitcoin into self-custody. Do not trust these centralized exchanges. This is the way. Right now it's the calm before the storm. Make sure your cold storage setup is secure. Make sure your seed phrase is backed up. Make sure you don't have any Bitcoin on an exchange. Make sure no one else is holding your Bitcoin keys. This is the way. Like, you can avoid this very easily if you just hold your own Bitcoin and stop trusting middlemen.
100%, 100%. And also shout out to Narwhal Tacos. Like, we did warn people on Simply Bitcoin to get your funds off Celsius. That's right. I completely forget. I have a terrible memory, but yeah, I mean, like, I don't remember the specifics, and I'm sure we have. And the reason that I'm sure that we have is because Simply Bitcoin has been battling this message for the last, it's going to be 3 years in about 10 days or so. And it's going to be actually Opti's first full year anniversary, I think, also. Look, the message has always been the same. Stay humble, stack sats. We added stay solvent thanks to Vikingo. And take that said Bitcoin into self-custody, and anyone who's telling you otherwise, I don't think they have your interest at heart, to be honest.
Everyone is a scammer. They want your Bitcoin.
I don't think they have your best interest at heart. So anyways, everybody, no more delay. I want to talk about Luke. I want to hear what he has to say. So we're going to make this bullish again. So we went through this roller coaster ride.
Quit making it so sad and somber, Nico. This is Friday.
All right. Here we go. Let's go to the culture. Let's do this. Oh, wait a second. No, before that, we're talking about self-custody. We're talking about all these things. Guys, you want to make it over the finish line with your generational wealth. And the only way that you could do that is by properly securing your Bitcoin wallet, Bitcoin wallet backup seed words and passphrases. Best ways to do it is with the BitPlates Domino. It's easy to use, hard to destroy. It's made from highly corrosion resistant 316 marine grade stainless steel. Offers the ultimate protection against extremes of temperatures. You can use the promo code SIMPLY to get 10% off anything on the bitplates.com website. Anyways, everybody, no more delay. Let's get to the culture.
The Daily Culture.
Brought to you by swanbitcoin.com. Swan is the best way to build your Bitcoin stack with automated Bitcoin savings plans and instant purchases, serving clients of any size from $10 to $10 million. We love Swan because they incentivize self-custody and dollar cost averaging. What are you waiting for? Visit swanbitcoin.com today. All right, guys, I also want to tell you about the Pacific Bitcoin Festival. You think it's fun to hang out with Bitcoiners online? Imagine how fun it would be hanging out with Bitcoiners in person at the Pacific Bitcoin Festival, the West Coast premier Bitcoin-only experience. Join our friends from Corey Clipson, Jan Pritzker, Preston Pish, Lynn Alden, Natalie Burnell, Stefan Levere, Pierre Richard, Jimmy Song, and much more. The Pacific Bitcoin Festival has top speakers, authors, educators, workshops, networking, music, laughs, games, and much more. You can use the promo code SIMPLY to get yourself a discount to the Pacific Bitcoin Festival. I hope to see all y'all in LA. Anyways, Opti, what are we going to talk about today, brother?
Yes. So as you guys can tell, Luke was specifically requested on our show because I forget who it was. So forgive me, guys, but they're like, I need some more bullish signal on Simply Bitcoin. So Luke, I'm just going to tee you up. Let's just get bullish. What are your most bullish thoughts currently? Actually, recap what you told me before the show and we'll start there.
Yeah, so my most bullish thoughts, I suppose, would be I just think Bitcoin's going to be adopted a lot quicker than most people expect it to be adopted. I think a lot of Bitcoiners on Twitter are like, yeah, you know, Bitcoin's going to be 500K or $1 million by 2030 or 2035. And I just think that's not going to happen. Like, it's just my thoughts. I'm just speculating. But I think, like, if you look at the previous technologies that have been adopted in the digital age over the past 30 to 40 years, they get adopted in an S-curve. Okay, so if you look at the personal computer, the internet, and the iPhone, if you take an average of all three of those adoption curves, it takes around, on average, 10 years to go from 0 to 10% adoption. Then you kind of hit an inflection point, the technology gains that network effects, begins to go mainstream, and then it takes the same amount of time. So again, another 10 years to go from 10% adoption to 90% adoption. So I look at Bitcoin through that lens. I've been writing about this since 2021. I think Bitcoin is much more than just a technological adoption. We can maybe talk about that a little bit later. But I actually, you know, if you look at Bitcoin, it's around 14 years old. And it's really hard to pinpoint the adoption measure of Bitcoin. Like, if you actually look at how Croesus measures it based on how many people store a large percentage of their net worth in Bitcoin, you can make the case Bitcoin adoption is like 0.1%. But you can also make the case that if you look at all of these, you know, crypto adjacent surveys, which I don't put a lot of faith into, but I still look at them, you could make an argument that Bitcoin adoption is around 2 to 5 to even 7% if you look at a global average. So I look at Bitcoin and say, okay, it's around 14 years old. I think it's actually hitting the inflection point. And I can make an argument later for why I believe 2020 is the inflection point and why I call it the monetary chasm and that we have crossed. But I kind of think we are in that second phase of Bitcoin's technological adoption curve. And it took Bitcoin around 12 years in kind of era one, or epoch one, as I call it, 2008 to 2020. And I think Bitcoin is going to travel from wherever it is today, say 2 to 5% adoption, to 60, 70, or 80% adoption before 2032. So 12 years for epoch one. And I think Bitcoin's going to take around 12 years to go from where it is today, however you measure adoption, to somewhere around 70 to 80% to 90% or mainstream adoption. So I just think I just think that is the trend of technological adoptions over the past 50 years. A lot of people call me an absolute bulltard for some of the projections and numbers I put on that thesis, but it's simply just following the trend. So like every single technology that has been mainstream adopted over the past 300 years, it has happened at an ever increasing rate. I just think Bitcoin's going to be the exact same as that. And what's really interesting about Bitcoin is it's actually competing against a system that is getting exponentially worse every single day. That's the fiat legacy system. If any money supply chart that you look at from anywhere around the world, it is going absolutely exponential. And this is where I get into calling 2020 the monetary chasm. Central banks all around the world are in a phase of deleveraging their balance sheets. They only have one option, and it's turn the money printers absolutely exponentially on. We've seen money supply all around the world increase by 40, 50, 60% since 2020, since we crossed that monetary inflection point. And that's in the West. If you look elsewhere around the world, you've got like 140 countries all around the world with inflation above 5%. So I believe like this is the first inflation spike in the digital age. I think there's a lot of data and stats we can maybe get into later that suggests that Bitcoin has actually entered that second epoch of people beginning to realize its true value. We kind of mentioned it earlier in the chat when we were talking about coins on exchanges. Something pretty big has happened, and all of a sudden in 2020, people are accumulating Bitcoin. Have they realized that Bitcoin is the asset that you never sell for 100 years and it's going up forever, like Michael Saylor says? I think so. I think we have entered the era of, the billionaire FOMO. And I think if that trend that began in 2020 continues, where 1 million coins have left exchanges, by 2028, there's going to be no Bitcoin on exchanges. So what's going to happen? Is Uncle Larry, 2 in the pink, 1 in the Fink, going to rug pull everybody with his paper Bitcoin ETF? I don't know. I think it's going to be really interesting when there are 0 Bitcoin on exchanges. If the previous 3 years of data continues, there's going to be 0 Bitcoin on exchanges in 2028. So I think it's impossible to not be bullish on Bitcoin right now.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah, I mean, okay. Hold on. I agree with the technological the technological adoption curve, but I also what I've noticed, and then I don't know what your arguments are with this, Luke. Like, I see my normie friends, right? And they're still in fiat landia, bro. They because like they're like the reality is that if you live in the U.S. Fiat currencies are pretty, like Apple Pay. I keep bringing up Apple Pay. Like, man, like this is a little haptic. Like, you go there, it goes, ding, and it's like so easy to use. And I think that if they can keep inflation under control, to not above 10% for an extended period of time, I think that people I think that people are just, they're just convenience. Like they love convenience. And I think that Bitcoin right now is slightly less convenient to use than fiat currencies, specifically in the developed world. Like in the developing world, this is a whole different concept. Like I think I'm so bullish on Bitcoin adoption in Venezuela and Argentina and Turkey and Nigeria and all these countries, but in the US, like it's just like people just don't give a flying fuck, so. What would your response be to that?
Yeah, so firstly, any bullish hate mail or Hopian hate mail, send it my way, not the boys here at Simply Bitcoin. But I wrote about this in 2021 as well. So Bitcoin is a monetary technology. This is a very key distinction. I've made the argument that you shouldn't actually measure adoption based upon how many people use Bitcoin. You actually need to measure adoption based upon how much of the world's wealth is actually looking at Bitcoin or accumulating Bitcoin. So for example, Michael Saylor put in his entire net worth in Bitcoin and buying 150,000 Bitcoin. That does not, I don't believe it should push Bitcoin adoption up by 1 person out of 8 billion. Okay, like that's how most people measure adoption of Bitcoin. How many people are using it? It's 2 to 3% adopted. I think the way you should measure it is, okay, Michael Saylor controls what? Let's inflate the numbers a little bit to make the example easier. Let's say Michael Saylor controls 1% of the world's wealth. He just put all of his wealth into Bitcoin. I believe that pushes up the global adoption of Bitcoin by 1%. So that's obviously a theoretical example, but I actually think the normies don't matter. The masses don't matter, as Spetsky says, because they don't control a lot of money. The ones who matter are the big boys, the nation states who are mining Bitcoin right now, I believe, and the billionaires like Michael Saylor, Bill Miller, Paul Tudor Jones, Stanley Druckenmiller. The list goes on of the billionaires around the world who are absolutely FOMOing into Bitcoin. I believe they're the ones who matter. And all of a sudden, if they do continue to drain the exchanges and there's no Bitcoin left on exchanges, all of a sudden the legacy corporate propaganda media are going to have a really tough time explaining to people why the price of Bitcoin in self-custody is worth $10 million a coin in 2028. Meanwhile, Uncle Larry's, paper Bitcoin's only worth 500,000. I think the normies I don't give the normies a lot of credit. Like I escaped Australia for good reason. I think clown world is going to continue and the normies are going to continue eating up all of these narratives. But I think Bitcoin is truth and Bitcoin is going to eventually show reality. When we drain the exchanges, there's no Bitcoin left on exchanges. Bitcoin truly enters price discovery. And I believe that, Bitcoin is that monetary technology. So we should look at who has the biggest wallets and whether they are in fact accumulating Bitcoin or not. So I believe the masses essentially don't matter in how we should be measuring Bitcoin adoption.
One, and a very, very good response. Love that. And Svetsky's piece was very impactful, right? We Are the Remnant, I think was the title of it, or the masses don't matter. It's something remnant, something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing, but yeah, no, and that's a very, very good perspective, because at the end of the day, right? It's like, as terrible as it sounds, because I know a lot of people are going to be like, Nico, it's terrible. It's 100,000 human beings. It's like, yeah, but Michael Saylor probably has more wealth than 100,000 human beings, like in the grand scheme of things. So it makes sense if you look at it from that perspective. And I think that said something like in the very beginning, where I said something along the lines of there's like 50 to 60 million millionaires and there's only 21 million Bitcoin. Right. There's literally not enough to go around. And I think that's basically what you were describing, right? Is that like all these billionaires that, they're looking at what Larry Fink is saying on CNBC and they're saying, holy cow, like I think Satoshi's quote, right? Maybe it's a good idea. Maybe it's a good idea to get some just in case it catches on. Right. Anyways, boy, is that quote still appropriate. Anyways, Opti, what are your thoughts, bro? And let's see where we are on likes. We're at 145, guys. Smash the like button so we break 150. Smash the like button right now. Smash it.
Yeah.
Smash
so just gonna tee Luke up a little more here. We were talking about this earlier. I think, and I talk about this all the time on Twitter Spaces. I think people fundamentally underestimate how fast information is moving around the world, and part of that, of course, is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is simply information, and I think that not only is the Overton window shifting towards the Bitcoin message, but also people are starting to wake up. Like I think the majority of people, well, I wouldn't say the majority of people. There's a small, strong minority of people waking up to the facade of the fiat world, of clown world, and they're asking the hard questions. And it's only a matter of time until they wake up to the idea of what is money, why we're Bitcoiners, and hence why we go so hard on trying to spread that signal. But on that note, Luke, we talked about this earlier as well before the show. Is this cycle different? What would you tell someone out there that's saying, oh, history repeats it, or history rhymes, it doesn't repeat? And you and I know we stay stupidly bullish, guys. So this is my original sin, but I also kind of believe that this cycle is different. What would be your thesis for this cycle being different?
Yeah, so I think the biggest meme in Bitcoin is this idea of the diminishing returns theory. Everybody's drawn these beautiful log charts and they think Bitcoin's going to hit 100K next bull run and then 150 next bull run. You hear it all the time. The institutions are going to, decrease the volatility of Bitcoin. I say wrong. I think it's going to be an absolute meme. And for people to make the case that Bitcoin is going to continue to get less volatile each bull run is absolutely absurd, in my opinion, when only 0.1% of Bitcoin's total addressable market has actually bought some Bitcoin. Like, the volatility is only going to increase from here. If Bitcoin adoption is 0.1% or even 5%, depending on how you measure it, how can you make a case that Bitcoin is going to continue to see diminishing returns each bull run, and it's going to get less and less volatile when the other 99% of Bitcoin need to come to the realization that they need to accumulate some Bitcoin? So I think that's a big thing that a lot of people are probably not thinking about, the fact that Bitcoin is going to actually get more volatile. Like in Epoch 1, as I call it, from 2008 to 2020, there was no serious money actually looking at Bitcoin. There was none. 99.9% of the trading volume in Bitcoin but before 2020 was just retail speculators, and they were just making paper profits. They were sending their Bitcoin to the exchanges and they were selling it for a Lambo. And the data backs that up. Like, if you have a look at the data, like we talked about earlier, coins were only increasing, going on to exchanges. But since 2020, obviously a million coins have been drained off exchanges. And I think we're actually coming to the point in Bitcoin's life where the other 99% of the world are actually starting to look at Bitcoin and starting to buy some Bitcoin. And again, I think the data reflects that. Bitcoin was significantly affected by the 2022 tightening in monetary policy. And that was because the big boys, the trader boys, they were actually buying Bitcoin. A lot of them didn't understand it. So there was a lot of lettuce-handed hedge funds out there who, bought Bitcoin at 20K and then they sold it at 50K. And that's understandable, and that's to be expected as Bitcoin monetizes and as the other 99% of the world's wealth slowly comes to the realization of what Bitcoin is. But for every lettuce-handed institution, you also have a Michael Saylor who's born and who is going to drain 150,000 Bitcoin off the exchanges and slap it into self-custody. So I think, that's kind of why I believe this cycle can be different, because all of a sudden the entire world's wealth is buying Bitcoin. Like the largest money managers in the world are buying Bitcoin. I did a thread on this the other week. The top 20 money managers and banks in the world control $57 trillion of capital. And 12 of those top 20 money managers have flipped bullish on Bitcoin in the last 3 weeks. So you got BlackRock, you got Vanguard, Charles Schwab, Deutsche Bank, etc. The list goes on. You guys cover it on a daily schedule. So I believe this cycle could be different. That's my case for it.
Beautiful. I love that. I love that it's a different outlook, because that is a very strong narrative, right? This idea of diminishing returns, and then the next cycle we're gonna hit. I think it's like common consensus 100 to 200K, somewhere in the middle. But I kind of want to go back to 2021 and that last bull market, and it was the common consensus that Bitcoin was going to hit 100K. And honestly, this is my opinion. I want to get your thoughts on this, Luke. Like, I think that it was destined to hit 100K. I think the reason that it didn't hit 100K was partly, number one, the CCP. They banned Bitcoin mining in the middle of the last bull run. That caused the hash rate to drop 50%. The price followed with the hash rate, which makes sense because miners had to sell Bitcoin in order to relocate to other locations. They could only pull that trigger once, though. And also the rehypothecation, right? So you had a lot of paper Bitcoin being sold on FTX. You had a lot of Celsiuses, and you had even Gemini, which is I can't call it. It's hard for me to describe Gemini, but let's say it's an exchange that really prided itself by following the rules, and that's how they, advertise themselves. One of the things that they put on the side of buses in New York City was crypto needs rules or something like that. And then, they were one of the exchanges that got caught up in a lot of this, yield blow up. So yeah, man, look, I guess what I'm trying to say is I agree with you. I think that this next cycle, unless something else, unexpectedly happens, I think that we might be pleasantly surprised. I think the last one was I think the last one was definitely cut short. I could say the rehypothecation, maybe I don't have like complete evidence for that, the FTX and whatever, but there's direct evidence of the effect of the CCP mining ban and what that did to the hash rate and what that inevitably did to the price.
Yeah, I agree. And I think like this is more data points that prove the thesis that Bitcoin has entered this second epoch where the world's largest money managers are accumulating Bitcoin. The largest entities in the world are now attacking Bitcoin. So you have the China mining ban in 2021. Then you had Operation Choke Point 2.0 in 2023. I could make a case, or somebody could pop the tinfoil hat on and make the case that the FTX and Celsius blowups of 2022 were also maybe attacks on Bitcoin, or maybe even that monetary policy was an attack to bring all of the markets down so the big boys like BlackRock could scoop up Bitcoin. I'm not making those claims. I'm not making those assertions, but I think we're watching attack after attack come after Bitcoin. Even more recently, we got was it the Wall Street Journal? What do you call it? The Wall Street Journal, the Fiat Times. They came out and wrote that hit piece bashing Bitcoin proof of work mining, and we got the whole Greenpeace bribe where Jeremy Larson bribed Greenpeace $5 million to try to bash Bitcoin mining, making that ridiculous skull. I think the attacks are coming on Bitcoin, and that's, I believe, all an attempt to suppress the price so the big boys can accumulate Bitcoin. And then, like we've seen in the past week, we've seen the mainstream media propaganda outlets all of a sudden flip bullish on Bitcoin. So I think last week, I don't know where I heard this one. I might have heard it on your show or someone else's, but they said there was like 4 positive Forbes articles last week written on Bitcoin. And, they've slowly becoming a little bit more positive on Bitcoin, but 4 in a week, that's a lot. And that, for me, gets the alarm bells going in the back of my big head. So I think it's really interesting. And I think, obviously, I don't know when Bitcoin is going to do a quote unquote super cycle. I like in 2021, I was pretty sure the cycles were going to break, but I was more bullish. Like I think at that time, I said, everything's a probability, but I think all the ingredients are here today to break all of these stupid models like stock to flow and all of these other garbage diminishing returns and rainbow chart models. I think this time is fundamentally different, and to actually project the past 12 years of Bitcoin's data when I believe things were absolutely different into the next 12 years, I think that's a mistake. So I don't know what's going to happen this cycle, but all the ingredients are there to have a very, very bullish scenario take place. And what does Bitcoin normally do? It punishes the masses or the mainstream consensus view. The mainstream consensus view is not Bitcoin's going to be worth 8 figures before 2030, like I believe it is going to be worth in today's dollars as well, not hyperinflated dollars. So I think, I think that's a pretty unlikely view that most people don't hold. And I think that's probably what's going to happen.
I would love to get you and Luke Broyles in a room and just have a conversation. I feel like that would be like ultimate bull. Who's the Bitcoin bear? Do we know a Bitcoin bear, Opti?
No, they've all been shot in the woods.
Metaphorically, YouTube.
Allegedly.
Anyways, wow. Okay, this is awesome. I love this perspective. I love this take. Opti and I have been talking. We don't like to speculate a lot on Simply Bitcoin, but Opti and I do talk a little bit off air, and we're just like, you know what? I think that the next market cycle, I think it might surprise people. But anyways. This shouldn't change.
Wait. Before we go, Nico, can we get Luke to speculate a little bit? How much upside do we have in this next bull run?
All right,
we can wash our hands of this one.
Send the hate mail to me. I've already told you guys. So I believe I also have another thesis on the Bitcoin multiplier effect. So if you have a look at the past 5 years of data, for every $1 that tries to flow into Bitcoin, it pushes the Bitcoin market cap up by 2.6x. Love him or hate him, Willy Woo has an amazing chart on his website that tracks the Bitcoin multiplier effect. So I have a thesis that we will continue to see coins leave exchanges. Less available Bitcoin supply for sale is going to mean a higher Bitcoin multiplier effect. So a lot of people say, Bitcoin can capture 10% of the global wealth in the world. So there's $900 trillion. Bitcoin can capture 10% of that. So that's 90 trillion. And people say that's just $90 trillion demand. It's going to push Bitcoin's market cap up by $90 trillion. I don't think that's true. I think you need to use the multiplier effect firstly. So you need to go 90 trillion times, let's say 3 for easy simplified purposes for my thick brain on a live screen. So 90 trillion times 3 is $270 trillion market cap. So that's what? Is that a $1 million Bitcoin or a $10 million Bitcoin? I shouldn't be doing maths live. But the big takeaway point is the more scarce Bitcoin gets, the higher that Bitcoin multiplier is going to go. And I think you could see a situation where the Bitcoin multiplier is not 2.6x like it has been over the past 5 years, but it's actually 5, 10, 15, or even 50x. So when you start calculating what percentage of that $900 trillion of wealth that Bitcoin can capture in the world, whatever number you think Bitcoin's going to capture, use the Bitcoin multiplier effect. And if you do believe coins are going to continue to move into self-custody and hands like Michael Saylor, who claim they're not going to sell their coins for 100 years, all of a sudden that multiplier effect is only going to rise. So I think it's impossible to put a number on just how bullish you can be on Bitcoin. I think 9 figures, so over $100 million per coin in today's dollars, is still cheap, still bearish, still conservative.
Bullish. Wow. All right, very, very appropriate with the soundboard. Anyways, everybody, now it is time for the funny part of the show. It's time for the meme review. Let's do it. Kaboom!
The Daily Meme Review.
Brought to you by Kaboomracks. I get this question all the time. Nico, where should I buy Bitcoin miners? The answer is Kaboomracks. It's the best place to buy Bitcoin miners. That's where you're going to find the best deals and the best prices. Start your mining utopia today. To check out their racks, you got to go to t.me/Kaboomracks. Join their Telegram group and start your mining journey today. Kaboomracks.
Kaboom.
All right, guys, this is a meme review where you tag me on Twitter, Simply Bitcoin TV on Twitter, on your memes, on your favorite memes, and I will get to as many as possible or drop them in our Telegram group, t.me/simplybitcoin. I look at them there as well. or I'll find some myself. But memes are important in this information war, as you can tell. It's all about spreading the signal. It's all about getting the calls of action out there. It's all about ridiculing the corporate press and making some funny so your friends stay in the game. Because as you can tell, there's so many people getting that hodl fatigue right now at the very end of the bear market. This is why we bring on Luke, so we can get stupidly bullish for you guys on a Friday, so you guys go out on a weekend and get super hype and start orange pilling everyone. But you already know the deal. Tweet to the bullet. The memes are the artillery. And here we go. First meme is by Wojak Bitcoin. At first, I thought Wojak Bitcoin was trolling all of us Bitcoiners, but I'm pretty sure he's a Bitcoiner now. Anyways, that's a whole totally different side note. But he goes, if you don't want to get scammed, just stick to Bitcoin. And we got the cloaked Wojak Bitcoiner with laser eyes here. He goes, if you don't want to get scammed, just stick to Bitcoin and put it in cold storage. And we got the newbie Bitcoiner here and goes, sound good. And then we got the shitcoin scammer here, Wojak, with a devil face on him. He goes, no, how am I supposed to scam him if he doesn't buy any altcoins? This is the way. And very fitting. I didn't even know we were going to talk about Mashinsky, but very fitting, very fitting. Okay, the other news. Yesterday, we kind of talked about it on Twitter Spaces. Shouts out to BTC Sessions, a.k.a. hashtag Ben Nico. And here's all the shitcoiners and the XRP army looking at their shitcoin pump yesterday because everyone thought it was bullish because apparently they're saying XRP might not be a security, but maybe it is a security when they sell it on exchange. I forget. It's getting complicated and convoluted. Either way, it's a nothing burger, and XRP is still a shitcoin. Okay, this next one. I'm not going to play the video because there might be some audio in here, and we don't want to get copyright tagged on YouTube. So again, forgive me. I will butcher your guys' video memes, but we have this one by Miguel Cuneta, and he goes, me after 10 years and 3 full Bitcoin bull, bear, bull cycles, cowboy hat emoji, and we got a Bitcoiner here. Well, it's not a Bitcoiner. We got this guy riding a bull,
Holy
and he's
shit.
just dancing on the bull like nothing. This is what it means to hodl your coin. This is what you got to do to deal with the volatility. It's just dance on the wave. Let's go.
Holy shit, dude! That guy that's very impressive.
Yes. I've seen people do this in real life. It's crazy. It's absolutely
like fucking
nuts.
dancing and shit.
Dancing on the mechanical bull. This is the way. Okay, the next meme is by HODLCat21, and he goes, when your meetup location isn't orange pilled yet, and we got the Aflac duck here that is a Bitcoin max, and he goes, hey, why do you not accept Bitcoin? And we got this person running, and it's the restaurant owner, and it's a duck, and he goes, why can't I pay with Bitcoin, motherfucker? Take my Bitcoin. I want to pay you in Bitcoin. Okay, this next one is by Maxie's Club, and it's got a Bitcoiner, Pepe Bitcoiner in the bushes, a play on the Homer Simpson in the bushes meme, and he goes, waiting for the right time to talk about Bitcoin, waiting for the right time to get stupidly bullish on Bitcoin and unleash a Luke on you guys and just get absolutely bullish, even though you are trying to get bearish on Bitcoin. It's not allowed here. This is not allowed. Okay, this next one is by Lena Sisha, and she just goes, inflation. And we got the little hodler. This is little hodler 181. And we got a Fiat Maxi over here. We'll just call him Jay Powell. And he goes, inflation has dropped. And then we got a little hodler here. Does that mean prices will go back down? And Jay Powell goes, no. The little hodler girl goes, will they at least stop going up? No. Will our savings stop losing value though? No, it will not. So we're still getting poorer, but a little more slowly. And Jay Powell and crew puts on a birthday hat and balloons and says, yes, you may be getting poorer slower, but you are still getting poorer. And on this last one, shouts out to my boy Rope. He just goes, Bitcoin radicalism over Bitcoin maximalism. And we got Nicolas Cage with laser eyes smoking a cigarette, and he goes, 1 in 12 people are radicalized. The question is, how do we radicalize the other 11? This is the way. Stay stupidly bullish. This is the way, guys. Okay. My meme, actually drop your meme review score in the chat over there, the other side, and I will do my meme review score. I think I might have done this one, but I thought I didn't. But this is a tennis ball. Oh, whoa. It's an invisible tennis ball that I use for my back that doesn't exist because it's invisible. It doesn't do. I didn't know yellow goes green screen on you. Okay, that's new. All right. Anyways, Nico, what's your meme review score?
Kaboom, right?
Kaboom, right. Is that your score? Okay, that's the score. All right, Luke, what's your meme review score?
11 out of 10.
Oh, let's go! Wait. Before we go to the scores, Rave Elevator, Opti explaining memes for the audio listeners. That's why I come here. Yes. Shouts out to Cedar. They ripped me a new one on Twitter the other day because I ruined their meme, video meme. I'm doing my best. Okay. All right. Let's see. Do we have some in here?
Let's pull up some scores. Yeah, we got plenty. We got plenty of scores. All right, here we go. First one by Tucson. Kaboom Rex. Kaboom Rex. I give those memes a cup of black tea for our
he was saying in the whole time, can this guy get bullish not in the Queen's English?
for our Australian
He's Australian,
guest.
Okay.
Jared Thoreau, meme score, rehypothecated paper, Larry Fink divided by 21 million. Very nice.
This one,
UTXO, my
try to
meme
read that
score
one.
is Navatape.
Foreign language, don't know.
Bitcoin bull run shocks the world. CNN features Nico, Opti, and Luke on a weekly show called Simply Bitcoin Truth.
Wow, that's bullish.
Oof,
Talk
like
about
that.
bullish.
Phil C, I give the memes a future with Mashinsky making license plates. Oof.
Ooh.
Oof.
Wait. Hold on. Opti Feek Field says tennis balls aren't yellow.
Yes, they are. Stop fucking with him.
I'm pretty sure they're yellow.
Yeah,
I am colorblind, but I'm pretty sure they're yellow.
Let's see what you did there. You guys are assholes. Leave my color blinded co-host alone.
What's the eye deficient person?
Walt, my score is 2 Lukes getting super massive bullish. You guys are both named Luke.
Wow.
The Luke
highly regarded.
Wow.
That's
Okay.
good.
Opti Fink Fields, when the Fink makes you blush. Score Fink with his lips saying, "If you go flop for low, I have low." Oh man. All right.
It's going up forever, Laura.
Exactly. We're out of time.
Rocket ship, get on board.
So thank you so much for tuning in to Simply Bitcoin Live this week. I'm your host, Nico. This is my co-host, Opti, and I want to give a very special shout out to our guest, Luke. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. We appreciate you. I know you're a fellow content creator as well, so just keep on the good fight. Love your content as well. I was just checking it out before the show, and appreciate you coming on the show today and giving us your bullish takes, my friend. And hope to have you on, in the near future, hopefully.
Thanks for having me. It was an absolute pleasure to join and join the fight of creating Bitcoin-only content on YouTube. There's really not enough Bitcoin-only content out there. So thanks for the kind words. I appreciate it. And send all of your bullish hate mail to me. I know I like to put the hopium out there, so I hope the people liked it.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for joining us, man, and we really appreciate it. Hang out backstage so we could chat after the show. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for tuning into another episode of Simply Bitcoin Live. We really appreciate it. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to smash that like button. If you enjoyed the content, if you feel like it provided you value, consider subscribing. But the number one thing you could do to push the peaceful Bitcoin revolution forward is share Bitcoin content, share Simply content, share Swan content, share Bitcoin Mag content, share Luke's content, share Kinetic Finance, share BTC Sessions. There's so many great Bitcoin content creators. I can't name them all, but you guys get the point. Don't share shitcoin content. That's counterproductive. But we love you all. Have an amazing weekend, and we'll be back Monday, 12:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for another episode of Simply Bitcoin Live. Peace out, y'all. Keep it right.